Howdy. So, yeah, I just wanted to make a really quick video because I got a couple of topics bunching up in my brain. I want to get them out because I just don't want anything left unsaid. Because, as you know, I have been watching for the rapture, and there have been about a couple, 3, 4, 5 false alarms, which is fine. It's a bit like I don't know. There's an equivalent in the world but nothing comes to mind right now. But it's not a big deal. I think a lot of people think that it's about being right, and I think I've been over this before about how the crying wolf thing doesn't really apply in the situation. I think it's just about getting as many eyes on this issue as possible, and for the first time in about since like December of last year. I don't feel like I'm one of like only 12 people talking about it now. So um, I feel a lot less impetus to do anything beyond like what I'm doing. And I really haven't felt like since the 26th, I really haven't felt like super inklings for videos. And I've done like over 200, I think, at this point. So I feel like I've said a lot. And if I were to guess, what all of these videos are for, I think it's for, um, the church going forward, the believers going forward. Um, and I mean, no one might ever see this, but it still exists and there's still a reason for it. I had no videos. And then I felt this prompting, and now I have many. So they exist in faith. And, even that, I just think, every little tidbit that I can sort of help somebody navigate this, uh, this faith thing is what I feel like I should be doing. So um, I've been thinking a lot about like just the gospel and how to get people in the right mind state, because evangelism is just super hard right now. People have questions and rebuttals, and the rebuttals aren't really that smart, but they don't know that because everything is so dumb. So, and that's not really a knock on people themselves, but it's just, it gets to the point where when somebody thinks that they're saying something smart and they're not, that becomes very, very hard to argue through because they think that, if they're just simply arguing back about how Noah's Ark is a stretch is just not, it's just not enough anymore to like, it really isn't enough to um, justify the skepticism because now we have aliens. So you're going to have to like come up with some other things, and you got to kind of get people through the steps. It's like there's a raging tsunami coming and they're like, well, I just don't understand how like God says that if we sin, then he's like mad. But like, it's like, okay, how do I get this like conveyed to you so that you like realize what this is? Because even when the tsunami is coming, they just think it's going to be another day like any other day, and we'll just go to our bunker, we'll go underground, there's some solution that the government's already thought of, and we're just going to do that, and they've taken care of us. Like, just the way that people are really, really, if you're not paying attention right now, you're really not paying attention, and it's really scary. So just kind of thinking of ways to sort of like, how do you get people to think about God? And you don't mention the panicky part. you're just like, okay, well, forget about all of that. Let's just drill down to like you as a human being. Like, and I was thinking like you could ask somebody like what would they if they had the opportunity to go to heaven right now. It's like you can either live your life all the way out to your old age, stand before God, die, stand before God, and hope and pray that your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. Maybe you're smart enough to realize that you have bad deeds and you're willing to acknowledge that. But you also know that you have good deeds. And, you just, hopefully, you haven't done anything too bad. So there's a lot of bad deeds that are not, of all the bad deeds that are on the bad deed chart, very few on there for you, right? So you might be fine. You could either do that or you could take Jesus's hand and go right now. If Jesus says, "Listen, you can come with me right now. Like I paid for your ticket. Like you can come if you want to go right now. Like we can go now. Like which would you rather do?" And I mean, I think that a question like that is telling, and it's like that's what you need to be asking because I really think that people are delusional as far as it's just like anything else. It's like when you have a health thing and you're getting these sharp pains every once in a while, but they never stay, and so you just kind of go, and you kind of like move on because you don't want to be forced to deal with it. And so I think it's very much the same way when you're thinking about like the condition of your soul and uh, every once in a while we think about it and we kind of get this dread and then we kind of move on with life. And I think people get so used to doing that, so used to doing that, so used to doing that, then they start adding in their own justification. And I started to think about how, like, I was rereading the story of Adam and Eve, and I was realizing, like, that tree of good and evil, and just how we are really, really obsessed with the knowledge of good and evil. And to the point where I don't think we can barely hear what God is telling us because we can't help but go into our knowledge of good and evil, and um, it's not relevant really to what God is trying to like get us to do. But it doesn't. It seems like it's adjacent. It seems like it's the same thing, and it's not. But it's like this knowledge is just like, for better or worse, it's like we're infected with it and we cannot get past what God is saying, which he's just trying to say, like, you messed up and I'm going to cover that. Like, um, I was thinking about that the other day and I was thinking, like, okay, this problem that we have, that we are in a sinful state, that's one problem. And then the other problem is our not being connected to God anymore. And they're two separate problems. Like, I don't know. I can't even remember now, like, what I was thinking about, but um, I think I was watching a video and I don't know, something about it. Like, a lot of these watcher videos, there's something that they're doing in the logic of their theology. That's like every time I hear it, it's like nails on the chalkboard, and I can't get past it. And so I'm just like, what's going on? Like, what is that? What do I keep, running across? And it's this thing first where and I think I talked about this a little bit when I was like talking about the tattoo thing, because when we try to defend our positions, like eventually it'll get to these, I have tattoos and I know tons of people with tattoos who are the nicest people you'll ever meet. They're the nicest people you've ever meet. Oh, I know a bunch of people who do this sketch thing. They're the nicest people you'll ever meet. It's like, why are we trying to add, like, what is that supposed to do? Is that supposed to like alter our view of people who have tattoos because that's all that it's about? It's like, no, the people, the Christians that are bringing that to you, it's about what the law says. It's not about people with tattoos are evil people, but it's like you're upholding that thing that people do where they attach stigmas on people's behavior. Like when you defend yourself with that, it's like, don't use that at all. Why are you using that at all? And like what's really weird is it's like you paired with, there's usually like an admonishment of listening to other people's channels who do X, Y, and Z, who talk about, who say that you're gonna, um, that there's no preacher of rapture, and anybody who says that is the devil, or any other channel that's saying that you can lose your salvation, or any other channel like, don't listen to those people, don't listen to those people, don't listen to them, they're not, they blah blah blah, and then they defend themselves and say, well, but you should still listen to me even though I'm doing some things that are uh technically God said not to do. But this is it's just a shame that people are trying to shame me, because, and I'm not like, this isn't like me talking about channels, this is me talking about like the inconsistencies in the way that humans do stuff and how it perpetuates bad theology. It's like, it's like this justification of ourselves. And again, like thinking about Adam and Eve and just like really realizing like that every like crux problem that we have spiritually is in this story somewhere. And I was talking about last time how they hid separately. They just hightailed it out of there when they started to hear God. Like that was their first instinct. It was like, whoa, get out of here, like run. And then but they also, before that, they sewed fig leaves for themselves. So they sewed garments for themselves. I guess them being naked and seeing each other for the first time and understanding this concept was just like too much. They were like, this is too much. We got to start making clothes right now. We got to start making clothes for ourselves right now before we do anything else. Like that, like, and that's not like, I know you can take it as an allegory, but I hope that you don't. But even if you did, like, there's so much in it that I can't even, there's so much in it. Sorry, I'm cooking my dinner, but like, it's like girl dinner, but it's girl dinner for someone who's been a mom for a while. So anyways, if you don't know what girl dinner is, it's okay. I'm spending a lot of time on TikTok right now. So I know a lot of stuff I shouldn't even know. Anyways, so yeah, they made coverings for themselves. And it's like I see people sort of go back to their fig leaf covering. And I, like, again, this is not something that I'm like, shame on you. It's just something that you have to be aware of, because I just think that we will never not do this as long as we're on the earth. So we sort of reach for our covering and we cover ourselves. And we, even with God's covering, because it's like God came and made them skins and that's what they wore. And, I don't know, I guess like our salvation is sort of the equivalent of that, where we don't have to be condemned and we don't have to, when we get that sense that we're naked or that we're exposed, and it's bad, like we don't like it. It doesn't have to be something like major, like, oh, you got found out in a lie or something like that. It could literally just be not wanting to express your true feelings. I guess it is a little bit dark. That didn't really help. Not wanting to like express your true feelings to people, or not wanting to admit that you were wrong, or that you actually need people or something like that. Like it's just or when you have a platform and people are poking at you, and they're just as imperfect, and that, and you don't want to you don't want to feel obligated to answer every little thing or whatever. It's just like these moments where there's like a flare up where we try to get our own garment out and like cover ourselves. And because God, the covering that we have is spiritual, and you have to sort of trust in it or be reminded of that. And it's hard because instinctively, it's like we're going to do it, and then we have to like own up to it when we do it, which again is also hard. Like I'm realizing for me, like how, I mean, throughout my life, it's just been really, what I think is probably my main issue comes down to just the fundamental dislike of being vulnerable. And I was thinking about like just how profound it is to be like naked in front of God. Like that was a shift. Like, and that's really never going to happen again. Like that is really a state that we're not going to, I don't know if we'll never be able to reach it again, but we just know now what that is. And so, everybody wearing clothes up in heaven. There was no nakedness, but that was such a newborn, like brief moment in human whatever, where they were naked and just really, they didn't have shame because they didn't know what it was. And just strange how, I don't know, there's something going on with the concept of knowledge that the Bible's trying to teach us with that. Because it's not like nakedness didn't exist. It's really interesting. But yeah, so I was thinking about all that stuff. And I'm trying to think, there was one other thing that I thought of like just today that I was like, I don't remember. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry, I already was jumping around with this video. My brain's like not cooperating. But anyway, like I heard something that I've heard at least 15 other times, but I don't know, maybe I wasn't just in the place to hear it or whatever. But the thing about grace and mercy, I think like lately I've just been like, okay, but what is it though? Like I keep getting the definitions and hearing the definitions, and I'm like, okay. And then I try to like juggle both the concept at once. I don't know. It's just hard for me to grasp it. I don't know. It's really weird. But suddenly, I heard this thing that I've heard before a million times, and it was just like how um, grace is God giving you what you don't deserve, and mercy is God not giving you what you do deserve. And I was like, like I've heard that so many times, but it just made sense to me because I was looking for it. I was in the mental state to receive that information, because I was like, okay, so here's the stuff that I don't deserve that I'm getting, and here's the stuff that I do deserve that I'm not getting, and it's creating this sort of like even playing field thing for me, and like, or for every person. But it's like, okay, that's what's happening for me individually. That is what he's doing for me. And like it makes me think of like how people have these weird near-death experiences, and it's like strange because the devil can really trick you into believing that this thing is just a test, or the way that he's able to do that is because of God's being rich in mercy and rich in grace. And so he can give you some whole spiel about, well, this is just a test and this is going to happen and you're going to come back again and you'll redo it and all of this stuff, because it does seem uh like there's this like unbiased, he's just letting it play out, and he is. And there's a lot of different things going on at once, but that rich in grace, rich in mercy can really just have you confused. And it can also have you overly fearful if you're that type of person where you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it just all depends on what your neuroses tends to do. Um, but I was thinking about that. And there was, I don't know, I'm trying to think, was there something helpful that I had to say to anybody? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to post this or not, but um, I wish I knew how to like add on to the video after it stopped and all that stuff, but I'm just so caveman in my knowledge right now of technology that I don't know. So, I don't know. Let me try and think of one more thing, and if I can't, then I'll just stop this entirely. So, yeah.